Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. If European politics was a streaming service, then we would have a whole bunch of new releases this fall, starting with one which could be called Victor versus Everybody. It sounds a bit like some League of Legends spin-off, but the truth is a bit more mundane, you see. The main character of this particular series is Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, who has just found himself another enemy. This time it's Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland. Following an online spat over mostly domestic politics, Orbán immediately pressed caps lock and went on the offensive, accusing Tusk of being a vassal of Brussels and a warmonger. Now, where have we heard that one before? Okay, so let's begin with the warmonger bit, as this one is straight out of the Kremlin playbook. That is why it seems so familiar, by the way. Over the last few years, some European populists have tried to make it seem as if there is a very simple choice. Either you're pushing for peace, or you're a bloodthirsty warlord, probably running around shouting "Skulls for the Skull Throne" or something like that. Except it's not quite like that, not at all. Many of those populists, like Orbán himself, have branded themselves peace-loving leaders while maintaining questionable relations with Moscow. That includes being unhelpful towards European initiatives to end the war with a just peace, such as letting go of Russian energy. Now, spoiler alert, Orbán likes his Russian energy. He won't let it go, even if Trump asks him to. Meanwhile, the so-called warmongering usually means sending Ukraine weapons to defend itself against Russian attacks. If Ukraine is a victim, how can helping the victim be warmongering? Has Zelensky ever said he wants to conquer Moscow in 3 days or something? Also, Orbán's claim that Poland has become a vassal of Brussels seems particularly comical, given that Orbán himself has long appeared to be a vassal of the Kremlin. But he doesn't seem to be looking in the mirror all that much. His peaceful stance has repeatedly blocked EU decisions, helped Russia gain time, and irritated even his closest neighbors. And if anyone is fueling conflicts, it's the one who calls black white and dependence independence. And while Orbán plays the role of chief peacemaker of the East, the rest of Europe clearly understands that true peace does not begin with tweets, but with an end to Russian aggression, something Orbán somehow constantly seems to forget. I guess Viktor must be salty about that failed peace summit in Budapest. But guess what, Viktor? If you don't like how this turned out, you can bring it up with Putin. After all, he was the one whose behavior made Donald Trump understand he would be wasting his time on another meeting if Russia blew up another hospital or kindergarten immediately afterwards. The only warmongers today are at the Kremlin. Maybe add a little quest marker to remember that. If propaganda were an Olympic sport, the Russian team would already have won gold. Multiple times, in fact. Think of the winner's speech once they receive their medal. That speech would probably be made out of accusations, threats, and pompous messages, all coming from the very same conveyor belt, starting obviously at the Kremlin. Now, today the whole thing works according to the old recipe: turn a big problem into a small fear, and then into a theatrical threat. Now, loud threats are being made about allegedly striking the United States with a squadron of 18 Poseidon torpedoes and completely destroying the very idea of American maritime civilization. That is a quote, by the way. The words sound like a scene from a thriller about the end of the world, loud, dramatic, and with one obvious goal: to scare the audience.
Условно говоря, эскадра из 18 Посейдонов, она полностью уничтожает вообще все понятие о США как о морской цивилизации. Потому что в этом случае будут уничтожены вообще все базы, все основные портовые города и, в общем, вся инфраструктура в примерно 30-40 километровой зоне. А там находится на минуту 75% населения США. И более того, еще раз говорю, отразить эти удары
невозможно.
Американцам просто нечем, физически нечем. То есть никакие авианосцы, никакая супер личная тайная подводная лодка США ничего не может этому сделать. Потому что ни одна торпеда не способна догнать нашу торпеду. У них просто нет таких скоростей. То есть если только внезапно случайное столкновение лоб в лоб, но от этого
Нет.
мало что изменится, потому что мегатонный заряд в этом случае...
Мегатонный?
Ну, нет, я говорю в количестве мегатонн.
Вот я
мы
про
меряем,
то же, да. Мегатонный. Как сказал Владимир Владимирович, поболее, чем у Сармата будет.
Scary stories about destroying the idea of maritime civilization are not an argument in the international security dialogue, but an attempt to conduct an information sweep to replace real discussions about security with something that sounds like a trailer for an 80s B-movie, presumably starring Steven Seagal. This fall, they rise from beneath the waves, the Poseidon missiles. I wonder how much of that stuff would be practical effects, by the way, and how much would be CGI. Russia often brags about technical achievements and later fails to deliver. Remember the T-14 Armata, a tank so revolutionary they couldn't make it work in combat? Russia's doomsday weapons, like the Poseidon, are not exactly a new idea either. Putin first bragged about them back in 2018. Fast forward to 2025 and he announced some unspecified tests of both the torpedo and the Burevestnik nuclear-powered missile while sitting at a table over tea and cakes. Yeah, Russia is a state of mind. Anyway, the testing conditions of the weapons are always shrouded in mystery, which led some to doubt if they really took place at all or to what extent. Others called the usefulness of these weapons into question. But you know, who cares? At least Solovyov and friends can go live on Russian TV and boast about nuclear war as if it was the latest update to a game that they play. Wow, our weapons got a buff. They're so OP right now, bro. All the while, the Russian army itself isn't really good at the game. Have you guys checked your KD ratio recently? I'll tell you something. It's pretty bad. Apparently, all you need to know to work for the security services today is a phone, a Telegram channel, and a little hopelessness in your pocket. According to European investigations, Russian state security and their international networks are using Telegram as a cheap, instant recruitment platform to fund people for sabotage, arson, provocations, and one-day jobs across the European Union. Fast, deniable, and disposable. Perfect for a little dirty operation here and there. So here's how it works. Big public pro-Russian channels act as a shop window. If you like one of their posts, you get noticed. If you slide into their GMs, now that is game on. They will make you pass a simple test by carrying out mega tasks for a couple of euros, after which you may be added to a pool of one-day performers. The offers are often dressed up as courier work, quick gigs, or odd jobs. Now, recruiters pick migrants, teenagers, and the socially vulnerable. You know, people who need cash and aren't asking too many questions. Intelligence and police reports have already flagged concrete cases where messaging apps were used to hire operatives for small but dangerous tasks. A network of disposable actors like these creates a steady, low-grade threat. Minor incidents that get big headlines, drain police resources, and make ordinary life feel less safe. The objective isn't spectacular terror, though that does happen from time to time. But the real goal is slow erosion, mistrust, extra security spending, political polarization. And hey, if the person carrying out the tasks happened to be a specific demographic that Russia would love for you to hate, well, that is even better. This is an asymmetric campaign, low cost and high impact. It's about time we stop treating these as isolated crimes, but as a security problem that needs to be addressed. Because grassroots terrorism is apparently the only innovation that Moscow can bring to the world today. And with this we conclude this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on DVP World for more latest news and updates.